I'm Enrique Latois, and this video is brought to you by Commentary Creations, your 3-minute lawyer. Today we're going to make a barbecue combo. This is the first time I've ever done this. Basically 2 meats. We're going to do brisket, and what we have here is about a 10.5 pound brisket flat with the thin fat cap. Also, we're going to do baby back ribs. We're going to do some collard greens, some macaroni and cheese, and some cornbread. I've been barbecuing and smoking food for probably about 14 years. This is the first time that I'm actually doing a combo plate where I'm doing 2 meats, so this should be pretty interesting. I also don't have my trusted producer, Kaylee Mull, with me today, so forgive me for any poor lighting or audio. She's a godsend, and I'm not gonna have her here on a Saturday while I barbecue food all day. So let's get started with this brisket. Now for brisket, first thing we need is mustard. Mustard is gonna be your slather. It's basically gonna allow the rub to stick to the meat. So just basic yellow mustard. Then I also use some chopped onion. I also use brown sugar bourbon. Cow Lick, which is by Dizzy Pig. I have a bunch of seasonings by Dizzy Pig. Actually, they make very good stuff. And then the last thing I have here is Montreal steak seasoning, which most of you probably already have in your cupboard. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rub this thing down with mustard on both sides. Then I'm gonna put a lot of seasoning on here. Do not be shy with the brisket. It's gonna create a bark. And then we're gonna get this thing on the smoker. We need to get this thing on first. This is gonna take the most time. Okay, so one of the biggest questions is always fat side up, fat side down. I go fat side up. I also have a flame boss that I use to check the internal temperature and keep the temperature on the smoker where I need to keep it to. So you take the probe, you put it in the thickest part of the meat, which would be about right here. I go 180 internal temp, and then I wrap and let it sit for 2 to 3 hours. You can check 1,000 websites, 1,000 people will tell you 1,000 different things. There's no wrong way to barbecue. Whatever works for you works. For me, 180 because I like a steak-like cut when I cut my brisket. I do not like a chipped beef, and I don't like it undercooked either. So I go 180 internal, and I go about 245 on the smoker. And this will probably take every bit of 7 or 8 hours. So now we gotta make macaroni and cheese. So I'm gonna give you my macaroni and cheese recipe. Just kidding, Kim. You've been trying for years to get my recipe. I'm still not giving it to you. Okay, the only thing I'm going to tell you about my macaroni and cheese is I do use these Elbows, Barilla. That's it. Any respectable person would never give up their macaroni and cheese recipe. So now that the macaroni and cheese is made, so I'm gonna put them in these little dishes, these little porcelain dishes that I got here. They actually have lids, and they'll go in the smoker. I will tell you that whenever you do make macaroni and cheese, always have some loose, sharp cheese to put on top as a topping. So I'm gonna do one of these right now real quick and sprinkle a little cheese on top. There we go. Okay, so what we're gonna do now it's time to make the ribs. The brisket's been on for about 3 hours or so. Now I gotta get the ribs on. So what I do is I smoke the ribs for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Then what I do is I wrap them for an hour, and then I put them back on for another half an hour along with barbecue sauce. So that total time is approximately about 4 hours and 15 minutes. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start with the mustard, put the mustard on the ribs. That will allow the rub to bind. Now, this is my own rub. It actually says Daddy's Rub on here. I made my own rub. I will tell you the ingredients in the rub. So if you wanna make your own rub, and what I'll do is I'll genuinely put this all over these ribs, and then we'll get them in the smoker. Now it's time for the ribs to go in the smoker for the first 2 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, time to get the collard greens on. Right now, the brisket's been on for maybe 4 hours or so. The ribs, they're in there probably for about a good hour at this point. The mac and cheese is made, not in the smoker yet. Now it's time to do collard greens. This is the easiest recipe you'll ever have for collard greens. What you want to do is you want to take smoked turkey. This is smoked turkey. So put that in the pot. And we want to do 49.5 ounces of chicken broth. 2 onions, not cut up, whole. Then 1 tablespoon of this seasoning. 1 tablespoon of garlic powder. 1 tablespoon of seasoned salt. 1 teaspoon of crushed red pepper. Half a teaspoon of black pepper. 3/4 cup of vinegar. That's it. Bring it to a boil. Put all the greens in. Let them go for about 2.5 hours on simmer. Okay, so the ribs have been in for 3 hours. You can see they look really, really good, really juicy. So what I do now is, can't believe it's not butter, honey, and a tablespoon of brown sugar goes on the foil. I already did this just to save time. And what I do is, now I'm gonna do it on top, same thing. Get 1 tablespoon of sugar, brown sugar. Then it gets some honey. Then it gets wrapped in 2 layers of foil. Then it goes back in for 1 more hour. Okay, so this has been a pretty long day. First time I've ever done a barbecue combo plate, probably the last time I do one. I've been at it for about 10 hours. Macaroni and cheese made, greens are made, cornbread is done, peach cobbler for dessert, brisket's done, ribs are done, everything's done. So now I'm about to start cutting this thing, getting this thing ready to put on the combo plate. Okay, all done. We got everything here. So I'm gonna pick this camera up finally and show you what we got going on here. I want to show you guys these cool shirts we got. Your 3-minute lawyer shirts. Turn around, Cole. Cole's my cameraman today. Step into the light. Best 3 minutes of your week.